Our next story is from Algeria. It is celebrating 60 years of independence. On this day in 1962, it acquired freedom from French colonizers. It won freedom from the French. They ruled Algeria for 132 years. 132 years of torment, torture and loot. Millions of Algerians died in this period. Treasures worth billions were looted. Today, France has acknowledged its crimes and apologized to Algerians. But the colonial trauma that the people were subjected to continues to mar ties between the two countries. Here's a report.
This is Algeria, the largest country in Africa. Today, it is celebrating 60 years of independence. On the 5th of July 1962, Algeria broke free from colonial rule. It threw out French occupying forces and declared itself an independent state. It's been 60 years. Today, Algeria is one of Africa's biggest economies, with the third highest score on the Human Development Index. But memories of the brutal French rule have not faded away. The colonial trauma still lingers in the minds of many Algerians. It also overshadows ties between the two countries to this day.
The only thing perhaps that France can do is officially recognize these abuses and apologize for these atrocities.
The French ruled Algeria for 132 years. Their reign began in the year 1830. With the invasion of Algiers, what followed were decades of loot, systemic oppression, and human rights violations. The examples are vast and varied. In 1871, the French introduced the Indigenous People Law. It made Algerians dependent on the colonialists, took away their ownership of fertile lands, and made them vulnerable to exploitation. Historians say this law helped France plunder 110 tons of Algerian treasures. What kind of treasures? Gold, silver, iron, oil, and precious artifacts. Their estimated worth at that time was 80 million francs. In today's scenario, this amount would exceed $180 billion. The toll of human suffering is even worse. Much like other French and British colonies, Algerians were forced to serve as expendable soldiers in France's wars. During the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, over 100,000 Algerians died fighting the Imperial German Army. During the Second World War, over 233,000 Algerians fought for the liberation of southern France. Many of them did not survive. The toll from the Algerian War for Independence is even bigger. Between 1954 to 1962, the Algerians fought a grueling 8-year war for freedom. Do you know how many of them died in this period? 1.5 million. The deaths were mostly the result of state-sponsored massacres. A fact President Macron acknowledged and apologized for.
60 ans après,
in metropolitan France, the tragedy was swept under the carpet. 60 years later, France recognizes this tragedy. And I say it today loud and clear. This massacre is unforgivable for the Republic. A speech does not resolve 60 years of injustice, and words are sometimes of little use. But I wanted to use these few words today to bring recognition to the plights that the Republic has never spoken about.
At the same time, Macron has often accused Algeria of fomenting hatred towards France. He has raised questions on the country's very existence, saying Algeria was not even a nation before French occupation, that it was France which gave the country its modern-day identity. The condescension only proves that the French Empire may have crumbled, but it will take slightly longer for its sense of entitlement to disappear.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.